Picture this. You actually get a solid 8 hours of sleep. You wake up, you drink your morning coffee, and you sit down to tackle your daily responsibilities. But almost instantly, your mind feels like it desperately needs a vacation, right? You haven't done a single physically demanding thing yet, but you are already completely drained. So why does that actually happen?
Why am I so tired all the time? Man, it's a question so many of us ask ourselves literally on a daily basis. And in this explainer, we're going to see that the answer actually lies in a profound disconnect. You see, sometimes the problem isn't about how much you're physically doing today. It's about how much you're mentally carrying.
Let's put this into perspective. Imagine you're just sitting perfectly still on your couch. Physically, you are resting. Your muscles are relaxed, you're chilling out, but mentally? Mentally, you are replaying an argument from 3 days ago, you're planning tomorrow's incredibly intricate schedule, you're checking your phone, worrying about a relationship, maybe comparing yourself to someone else, and trying to solve a problem you literally can't solve right now. You are technically at rest, sure, but your mind? It is running an absolute marathon, and this is exactly why physical rest and mental recovery are absolutely not always the same thing. The tricky part is mental exhaustion isn't always obvious. We're so used to measuring our workload by what we physically accomplish, right? The errands, the emails, the meetings. But cognitive load is this invisible weight. It's thousands of small mental demands silently draining your energy reserves behind the scenes. And the crazy thing is, we usually don't even realize it's happening, mostly because a lot of these thoughts have just become completely automatic to us. I'm talking about thoughts like, what if something goes wrong? Did I handle that correctly? Wait, what do they think about me? What if I make the wrong decision here? Now, each of these individual thoughts might seem completely insignificant on its own. No big deal, right? But this constant, low-grade worrying and anticipation creates a massive, cumulative burden. It is an active processing task for your brain, and it takes real, physical energy to sustain it.
Think of the human brain like a web browser. You might already have 47 tabs open in the background. Work, relationships, financial stress, health anxieties, the whole shebang. And then someone asks you one innocent little question like, hey, what's for dinner? Boom. That is the 48th tab, and suddenly your entire system just crashes. You feel overwhelmed, irritable, and you just want everyone to stop needing things from you. But it's not actually about dinner, is it? It's the weight of those 47 other tabs.
Another huge factor here is that your brain is making decisions all day long. I mean, think about it. What should I eat? Should I say yes or no to this? Should I respond right now? What does this person even mean? What happens if I make the wrong choice? The sheer accumulation of these small daily choices leads directly to what researchers call decision fatigue. You literally become exhausted simply from the act of choosing. When your brain is forced to constantly decide things, your cognitive energy is entirely spent before you even get a chance to tackle the big, important stuff. And let's be real. Our modern environment accelerates this whole process through a constant digital loop. It goes like this: notification, curiosity, checking, and repetition. The more this loop repeats, the more your brain is conditioned to process external problems and stimuli. Shattering your focus over and over again throughout the day keeps your mind engaged in this state of high-alert processing. It makes true mental silence feel almost uncomfortable or even impossible. But hey, it's not just digital interruptions dragging us down. We also have to factor in emotional labor. This happens when you aren't just managing your own emotions, you're managing everyone else's too. Think about how often you wonder, are they okay? Did I hurt their feelings? How can I make this better? What do they actually need from me? Caring about people is incredibly healthy, for sure, but subconsciously believing you are responsible for everyone's emotional state, that is an active, deeply draining effort.
So how do you actually know if you're carrying too much? Well, you might experience intense overthinking, irritability over really small things, a constant feeling of just being overwhelmed, trouble starting even basic tasks, or a strong desire to just withdraw from people entirely. You might start asking yourself, why am I so tired all the time? But if you have these symptoms, the far more useful question is actually, what is my brain constantly trying to process?
A major culprit behind all this exhaustion is the overthinking cycle. It typically starts with uncertainty. Our brains absolutely hate uncertainty, so it triggers overthinking to try and create a temporary illusion of control. But here's the catch. Some situations simply don't have enough information to give you that certainty. Because you can't actually control the future, this just leads to more questions, way more overthinking, and ultimately severe mental exhaustion.
So what's actually happening in your head when you get stuck in this loop? Well, at a certain point, thinking stops being problem-solving and just becomes mental repetition.
Your brain is essentially spinning its wheels, trying to process past conversations or unresolved situations without ever actually moving forward. You can think about something for hours and still not know what's going to happen. That endless repetitive loop, that's called rumination, and man, is it exhausting.
So how do we break this loop? We start by pivoting toward recovery, and that means distinguishing between productive thinking and unproductive rumination. Productive thinking asks, okay, what can I actually do about this? And it leads directly to an action. Unproductive rumination, on the other hand, asks, what if this happens? Or why on earth did I do that? And you just continue thinking without ever moving toward a solution. So, the next time you find yourself stuck, ask yourself, is this thought actually helping me solve a problem, or am I simply repeating it?
Which brings us to the ultimate intervention here, boundaries. Now, we often think of boundaries as just a way of protecting our time, but they are absolutely vital for protecting your mental energy. When your mental load gets too high, boundaries act as your psychological circuit breakers. They stop the flow of overwhelming demands and help restore a much-needed sense of order to your mind.
And keep in mind, boundaries can be physical, like simply closing a door or turning off your phone, but they are also intangible, mental rules you set for yourself. It's telling yourself things like, you know what? I don't have to respond to this immediately, or I don't have to solve this person's problem for them, or even I don't need to have an opinion about everything. Creating these mental rules restores a profound sense of psychological order, and crucially, it gives your brain permission to just stop processing.
So how do we start reclaiming our energy today? You can significantly reduce your cognitive load by putting basic tasks on autopilot with daily routines. Try to make decisions just once. Seriously, stop repeatedly reconsidering a choice you've already made. Limit unnecessary choices by preparing things ahead of time. And maybe most importantly, remember that you do not have to participate in every single argument, and you have full permission to simply say no.
Which leaves us with one final vital question for you to reflect on. Are you resting your body, or are you actually resting your mind? Because as we've seen, sitting on the couch means absolutely nothing if your brain is still running a marathon. Take a hard look at your own hidden mental load. Give your mind permission to finally clock out and start redefining what true recovery actually looks like for you.